Welcome, y'all, to the King's Capital. Hope you had a great trading week. Hope you made some money. If you did not, keep following this channel. We'll try and make you some money at some point. But this is not financial advice. Don't do what I do. You know, all those warnings, etc. when it comes to trading, finances, blah, blah, blah. Welcome to the King's Capital. We're just looking to be good stewards with the King's Capital. Try and make some money. Try and get a reward for our talents, etc. All right, y'all. So I'm going to be looking at DXY, dollar pairs in general, and then probably looking at a few cryptocurrencies as well, and just trying to figure out what is the game plan for the week ahead, right? I'll try to speak more to that in a little bit, but just looking at DXY on the weekly, we're in a bearish trend, right? On DXY, we had NFP, which was bearish for the dollar, right? We did not add any jobs. In fact, jobs were slightly better than anticipated, but there were less jobs than last time. So why that is bearish? That is bearish because what that signals is that the job market is slowing, right? And so what the Fed has been doing in raising interest rates is essentially, they say they're not in the business of jobs, but essentially raising those interest rates in time will actually slow down the jobs industry and even actually start causing unemployment to rise. But point is, it was bearish for the dollar. We came up, we tapped into this weekly supply zone. My expectation, although I know I have a bullish order block here, it tapped it, we did get a reaction. My anticipation is that we'll see further downside for the dollar for now, right? If we start trading above this level, then okay, we can start talking differently about the dollar. But right now, look what we have: a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This is a bearish trend, right? So why don't we go ahead and jump over to, let's jump over to eurusd. Yeah, eurusd, not GBP USD. All right. So previously I did have this as a potential order block. We'll see. It is at a 61.8. You know, fibs only is relevant as like the other parts of the market, such as demand zones, supply zones, gaps, etc. Right? What is the trend that's happening in the market? So we'll see what happens here. Right now, I am long on the euro still. Did I take some sells previously in the last few weeks? Yeah, because 1, 2, 3 weeks of downside market. Right? 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 weeks. So yeah, I took some sells because they made sense in that time. But guys, the narrative here is still high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? So we need to understand the market within the broader narrative, right? I know there are a lot of people out there that are like trying to buy to sell, and then they'll sell in order to just buy later, right? They're trying to do all these things, right? And you have so many gurus out there that are telling you buy here, sell here, etc. You know, regardless of what the larger market narrative is it okay to take a sell every once in a while, even if we're in a bullish narrative? Yeah, but you really need some strong confirmations for that. And I would say that the statistics are actually still against you. They're not in your favor. If the broader narrative is a bullish narrative, the statistical likelihood of buys paying you better and more often and you getting stopped out less, it's probably a little bit better, right? So here's what we got. We already got the trend for the euro, right? We already understand, okay, DXY, the dollar's in a bear trend, euro's in a bull trend on the higher time frames. Let's jump down to the, right, we were in this larger demand zone as well with euro. And, you know, I think a lot of people are anticipating a push down into this order block, something, or demand zone, right? Whatever you want to call it, order block, demand zone, whatever you want to call it, right? It's just a zone in which it looks, in which price tells you a lot of volume, a lot of money stepped in from this zone in order to push price up in order to displace this high right here, right? So we're looking for displacement from a particular zone. That gives you what you can call your institutional level, your institutional order block, your demand zone. You know, if we were in a bear scenario, we'd call it a supply zone, right? Whatever you want to call it. This is where price pushed up from. This is where price has come back down to. We're looking for buys, right? Does it have to hit this quote unquote order block? No, we filled in this gap pretty much, right? This fair value gap, 1, 2, 3 candles here. So if you don't know what a fair value gap is, essentially what we're looking at is we're looking at 3 candles, right? 1, 2, 3. And so just in a very practical way, your fair value gap is going to be that zone in between those 3 candles, right? No wick filled in here, no wick filled in here. Price moved in such a volatile way, an impulsive way, that it left a gap in the market, right? So that's traditionally known as, like, it's a fair value gap, right? So price came in and it filled in a lot of it. Now you're wondering, no, price doesn't always have to fill in. It doesn't always have to hit your order block. So, there's a lot of, I've seen a few charts out there where they're saying, no, we're looking for more downside into this order block or this demand zone. To be fair, it's possible, but right now what I'm seeing is a swing low. 1, 2, 3 candles, right? We got this low, lower low, higher low on the daily. That's what this represents, right? And if we break it down to the 4-hour, that's exactly what we have. Low, low, a higher low with displacement, right? Here was our high. We got displaced. So not only did we get displaced, we got displaced with a fair value gap, right? With a demand zone. So this is what I'm looking at for this week. This is the play. So, before markets even opened, I'm looking at what price has done. I'm trying to put all the pieces together. So what I'm talking about essentially is a game plan, guys. So if you're getting into trading and you're still trying to figure things out, or if you've been into trading and you're in it for a couple of years and you're still not profitable, you're still trying to crack the code, the question is, do you have a game plan going into the week? Are you looking at what price is doing? I'm not talking about like indicators or anything like that, just purely price. What is price doing? Pushing down, impulsively pushing up and displacing the previous high with force, volatile, impulsive, right? And then I'm looking for price to come back in and maybe fill in one of these gaps. So already this week, here's what I'm looking at. Could I be wrong? Yes, but I'm setting up a game plan so that when market opens and we come Monday, come Tuesday, I'm not lost, right? I have an idea of what I think the market will do. I need to react to what the market will do. I'm not going to try and predict everything it's going to do, but I want to try and have an idea. If the market does this, then I'll do this. That's your game plan. If then. If the market wants to just move sideways and then give us a candle, right? Let's do this. If the market just wants to go like this with one more candle and then, let's see, can I get this just to do this? Yeah, let's say the market gives me a green candle up right here. Why don't I color it in? Let's make it green or a greenish, right? Cool. Let's say the market moves like this one more time, right? That tells me that there's still momentum here. And what I would expect here, if the market pushes up, my expectation is that we'll probably do something like this, pull back into this demand zone, and then push up. Now, if the market just wants to move sideways, and then let's say the market instead just wants to do something like this, and then push down, and then give us something like this, right? Push down into our demand zone, low, high, lower, low, and then displace this previous high. Okay, there's my plan. There's my plan going into this week. Something to that effect, right? So those are the two kind of entries I'm looking for. I'm looking for either a nice bullish candle to break these two equal highs, something I've been talking about in videos past. So if you haven't heard about this, go watch my other videos. When we get these equal, what I'm going to call equal highs right here, when we get this big green push right here, I'm going to look for market to retrace back into this zone. Goodbye to this zone for now, right? It's not relevant anymore. Price is showing that it wants to keep going. So therefore, I'm going to look for a buy into here. Now, if price wants to move sideways and then break down and fill in these fair value gaps, right? There's still a little gap here. There's a gap down here. Cool. I'm going to look for lower time frames, 15-minute, 5-minute. I'm going to look for price to displace previous highs, such as this, in order to go long. So guys, when you're coming into the market, whatever your strategy is, have a game plan coming into it. Game plan is going to be so key for you. So that's actually what I'm looking at for Euro, right? Euro USD. I'm long on XXX USD pairs because of the macroeconomics, right? I want to put that together with the broader long-term narrative like we have on the weekly. We're bullish on the weekly. The macros are indicating, okay, continued bearish dollar for the time being. So I'm putting that together and then scaling down into this lower time frame to find my signals to get into this trade. Now, I know some people are saying, well, we're just going to, they're looking to only push up maybe into this gap or one here in order to keep selling off. Totally possible. But if I'm here, I could target this gap, sure. But honestly, I'm probably going to target these. Whoops, come on. I'm probably going to, you're playing with me, TradingView. Guys, I want to target this first and foremost, back to our equal highs. Now, this is a crazy trade, right? I mean, 1 to 14, that's kind of outrageous, not completely uncommon, but But look, if you could probably, honestly, if this is the direction the market goes and you scale in on a 5 minute and you find your displacement and you find you're entering the 5 minute, you could probably have a smaller stop even than that. But this is our demand zone right here. If you want to be more cautious about that trade, you can bring it all the way down to this low. And that's still great. 1 to 7, 46 pip stop. I'm not really big into 46 pip stops. 46 pip stops. That's a tongue twister, but that's an idea. So here's my idea going into the euro this week, and we'll see what price does. I don't know what it's going to do, but I have a game plan. So if you haven't figured that part out, have a game plan. It's going to help you out so much in the future. And then generally with GBP USD, I'm looking at the same thing, right? Price came up and it looks like it broke down into this demand zone, right? It is from here that price pushed up and broke away impulsively. Now again, it's kind of the same thing as euro. Like on these larger time frames, is it up against a zone that is potentially, we had these gaps in the market. This is a potential order block. There's probably a fib in here. If I pull it, let's just see. I don't know. There's not a fib on this right now, so yeah. Guys, we're basically between the 78, and the 88.6, right? And this is kind of your OTE kind of entry, right? When you're looking into the ICT stuff, right? There's like the OTE, that optimal trade entry, where it's beyond the 50% of the PD array into discount, a deep discount at 78, 61.8, 88.6, whatever you want to, whatever your fib numbers are, right? They're not magical, but what I do like about them is that when they do line up with just more important confluences, right? On the hierarchy of confluences, I'm looking at the larger narrative. I'm looking for demand zones where prices impulsively moved away, displacing previous highs or previous lows, whatever direction you're going. I'm looking for fair value gaps. I'm looking for shorter term trends, and then I'm looking for something like a fib. Right? I kind of like them for that purpose. They're just like an added confluence. They're not necessary. USDcad. Okay, so I'm kind of long on this, and I was curious, this is kind of forming a flag. It broke under, and now it came into this demand zone, has been pushing up. So while I'm long on XXX USD pairs, I am kind of long on USDcad. I was long on this pair earlier the week. You can see kind of my older stuff, and I'm a little sad, right? I took this trade. It was a great trade. I'm proud of it. And then I took like 80% of my partials out. And then I moved my stop to break even. Now, when NFP happened, this moved so hard to the downside. I was like, I'm just going to take the rest of it wasn't much profit left, right? I'd take most of it off, but there was still a little money on the table. And I thought, I'm just going to take my money off the table, which literally, I kid you not, like a couple hours later, price like impulsively moved up, right? And you're like, dang. I should have just held that position. So maybe that's a lesson learned. I've already taken money off the table, most of it. My stops break even. The worst has happened is I just don't make any more money on it. The best thing that could happen is something like this, where price pushes back up, and I would have been even more profit, right? So I am looking still long on this. Did we close over these highs? Yeah, we got to close over these highs. So I'm still looking long. I would like to see a pullback, maybe to 50% of this. I think we have kind of a breaker block. Honestly, it's kind of break and retest. There's a lot of names for the same kind of stuff. It's whatever's going to work for you, whatever helps you gain a better understanding or context for the market. If you want to call it a break and retest, cool. If you want to call it a breaker block, cool, whatever. But it's going to be this zone. So if we can get a pullback 50% into this zone, which coincidentally lines up with our fib, or if you want to do a PD array, it kind of lines up with our discount market area. We could pull all the way back into this demand zone. That's possible. And if we do, that's cool. But this is going to be one of those things. Again, what's your game plan going into this week? Are you going to watch price come down? And then, if you trade in New York like me, you have to think about time plus price. So if for example, we come down here into New York session, let's say whatever, like Tuesday, right? Well, I'm going to be looking for reasons to get into this market. We're in a discount area. We are, we're kind of in this breaker block idea, right? We are in a bullish trend, so I've got these things lining up. I'm going to look for buys. I'm going to look for a reason to buy. I'm going to scale down to that 15 or that 30, whatever time frame works best for you, and I'm going to look for displacement on a lower time frame with a pullback into that demand zone, right? So we have demand zone on top of demand zone, right? Larger demand zone, scale down, look for that displacement on a lower time frame, and then find your buy as it pulls back into a lower time frame demand zone. So demand zone on top of demand zone on top of demand zone. Just scale in and find it. So what's your plan going into the week? That's my plan. I'm looking somewhere in here, right? Could it come all the way down here? Yes. And if it does, I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to see, like, where is price going to actually show me that there is true demand in that area? If there's no demand there, then it's not a demand zone. So looking long there, usdjpy, what's our weekly? Yeah, so we did pull up into this zone. We did reject it, but again, this is bullish. And I know Bank of Japan, on more of a fundamental level, is still loose with their monetary policy. They're not looking to do anything quite yet. So the yen is not strong at all. So my guess is, this isn't great price action right in here, like wick to the downside, wick like it can't make up its mind, right? It's a bit of a whipsaw, but if I can find our trend like I do on the daily, did we have a fair value gap here? Yeah, right in between here, and that's exactly where we're at right now. So if this is our large order block right here, this candle, this is our large order block. Our fair value gap was here. I do not like that color. Let's fix that. Right. Cool. Then we're in this zone, right? This is our zone. We do have, we're beyond the 50%. We're probably around the 61.8, heading towards the 786. Sorry about that. And then if we can scale in again. All right. So here's my idea. We had this kind of a breaker block idea, right? Right here, price paused, right? We got to close right here, price paused, and then continued to move away. So what that tells me is that institutional money or big money kind of stepped in here in order to cause price to continue. We don't have to hold this zone. There is a larger zone down here, but usually when price pauses here, this is kind of the zone you retrace to, because this is what caused price to actually push away and displace the larger highs right here, the larger time frame highs, which is this. So this is the last place price paused before displacing. And again, it's that same idea I talked about in euro. Two candles side by side right here, equal highs. Obviously this one is the close, but we're just talking about the top side of this candle. Boom, price displaced. We didn't get an immediate retrace back into that, but my guess is sometimes it doesn't always do that. Sometimes it takes time to kind of move back into the zone. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at something in this zone for buys, right? Obviously we have our 4-hour fair value gap that is just starting to tap into. So honestly, anywhere in the zone, give me a reason to buy this. I'm going to look to buy it. And if we displace to the downside, then, we'll reconsider. But for now, that's what it is. Now, it's a bit of a bloody week for crypto. Everything was looking pretty red. I kept getting alerts from like Uphold and things like, price is moving to the downside. So yeah, let me do the weekly real quick. Bitcoin, I'm looking into the $25,000, $26,000 region in here. If we're going to keep moving up, right? Is there room to move up? Absolutely. But generally, I'm not too bullish on cryptocurrencies at the moment. We might get pops higher, but ultimately I'm still looking lower for Bitcoin, right? So if I want to get crazy about this, here are the zones I'm looking at. Like if I'm looking at monthly, we had this high, low, higher high, and then we displaced to the downside, right? So we broke down. This is our demand zone right down here. And this is anywhere from, what is this? What is the bottom side of this? 9,900. So 10K to, 13K, like anywhere in there. Honestly, long term, that's kind of where I'm looking. We don't have to hold this low. This is a potential demand zone right here. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. I am looking for more downside. Yeah, I'm looking for more downside, guys. All right. We could pop up here. There's definitely a fair value gap up here. There's an order block right here, just below that 61.8. We could push down. Yes, we could push up before we actually push down, and that's fine. When it comes to crypto, I'm not a seller, guys, or at least I'm not a leverage seller, right? I'm not short selling this. I'm only looking for buys at great prices, and I want to scale out. So I was scaling out this whole way up. I had already bought, and I was not a buyer here. I was just scaling out, already making my money. Cool. Let's go to XRP real quick. Hopefully nobody bought this up here. In the grand scheme of things, is 70 cents going to be good? Yeah, especially if we're going to push back up to like $3.30. That'd be tight. But I'm not expecting that, right? we kind of swept this order block up here. Again, still bearish on crypto. I did call this push. Go back and watch my other videos. This was something I was talking about, was this push. But let's go down to the weekly. We broke this low right here at 0.66974, which was a low on the daily. Once it pulled back, pushed up, pulled back. We did not hold that low. So my expectation is probably back down into this 50-cent region, or back into the, the traffic zone, back into this range is where I'm expecting us to pull back into. If we break below that, we could push up from there even and go higher. But listen, I mean, we have levels way below this that we can also be looking at. So I'm going to be looking at as a buyer anywhere from probably 50 cents all the way down to 30 cents. Could we get sub 30 cents? Absolutely possible. There's no reason why we can't be down in here. And I would love to see that. If that's the case, I'm buying like crazy, y'all. Crazy. I'm not religious about XRP, but I'm a buyer there. All right, let's go to our weekly on hbar. Yeah, so high, low, higher, high. Now we did wick pretty hard to the top side, and there was a fair value gap that got filled in here along with this supply zone. So could there potentially be more downside? Yeah, my expectation is that we could actually push up here on hbar. We could even break down first. I mean, we can even break down to here and then push up, but right now that's where it's at. I wouldn't hate to be a buyer here. I wouldn't hate to be a buyer if we come back down to the 4 cents region. Honestly, this is all just kind of accumulation. We're going to get these pops, right? You're going to see this probably. I'm not calling when the next bull run is. I know some people are just ready for it. There's things about this. I thought, oh man, is alt season coming? I would love to see an alt season where alts just freaking go nuts. And then I'll scale out of my alt while that's happening. But I would not hate to be a buyer in any of this region, honestly. Anywhere from 4 cents, 5 cents, 3.5 cents. Great areas. Casper. Casper into my demand zone right here. It did have a good pop. We kind of have to hold this and continue doing good work. If we can close above 0.04, essentially 4 cents, a little over 4 cents. If we can close over that in this next week or two, I think that's bullish. Then we can probably start looking to sweep highs up here at 6 cents. Alternatively, there is room to move down. Like we have this fair value gap. We have this demand zone here starting at a little over 3 cents. So, yeah, man, I'd be looking down there for sure. But if we get a pop up here, then I'll scale out of some Casper and then look to buy later. ADA, Cardano. No, look at downside. Yeah, we have demand zone right here. Downside. Push back up, filled in this fair value gap on the weekly, tapping this demand zone or supply zone, sorry, and then probably more downside. I got a couple zones marked out here that there's no reason why we can't actually tap into them, but if we're in a 20-cent Cardano, I'm a buyer. If we break lower, cool. But again, guys, my approach with crypto is not like, I'm not looking to just trade this. I'm looking for like, I want to accumulate during the bear market, and I want to just scale out when we get the bull market. This one, man, okay, I was hoping for big upside on quant. Not big. I mean, 163 would be cool, but we did get this bullish close over, kind of like we did with XRP the other week. So, I don't know if there's any fundamental news. I don't keep up with the fundamentals on a lot of this stuff, honestly, but we need to hold this. If we don't hold this level, right, like right here, right, we don't hold this at $100. Oh my gosh. And that'd be a big, just psychological level. We don't hold $100, guys. There's no reason why we can't come all the way down to $63, essentially. There's a lot of room down here. We have clean candles right here, fair value gap, demand zone, right? Just starting to put the pieces together on this, right? There's no reason. And this is technically, I mean, broke below that low, popped up, close. Did we good to close below that? Yeah, we're kind of moving sideways, but I was super bullish on this other week because we got that close, but we do have to do work, guys. It's it's not as easy as that. Yeah, we got this close, but we need to continue up. Otherwise, probably more downside, unfortunately. XLM, I think, popped. Yeah, we got a good pop. So I'm looking for XLM to kind of come back down. And I think this popped because of XRP. Correct me if I'm wrong, but similar use case or something like that, right? They kind of moved together, but 11 cents. Sweet sound of laughter from my little one in the background. probably followed by crying, because sometimes laughter precedes the crying. Anyways, yeah, I'm looking for a retrace back into this zone. If we got to hold it if we want to see continued upside. If not, that's okay, right? Honestly, 10 cents is not a terrible place to be owning some stellar lumen. So that's it for me this week. Lord willing, you all have a great trading week. Again, guys, I just want you to start thinking about, do you have a game plan going into this week? If the market does this, then I'll do this. Now, if it goes the other way, if it does this, I'm going to react this way, right? You need to be malleable to the market. You can't predict it. You can't force your will upon the market. You just have to follow it where it goes, right? So if we start seeing things like swing lows like this, potential swing low right here, it looks like, hey, if we can come into this week, if we don't break below this low, we've formed a swing low on this, and we need to see further upside. So here's my thought. I know this looks kind of crazy, but again, just to recap on euro, because this is the main thing I'm looking at this week. If we get a push up here, like if we get some sideways movement and a bullish push on a closing candle above these highs or something like that, I'm looking for a retrace only back into this little demand zone before pushing higher. Now, if we move sideways and break below, if we break below this candle, I would expect a drop back down into our demand zone here before pushing up, and I want to target previous highs. But remember, this all has to happen with displacement. You see, NFP caused displacement. Here was a high, displaced to the high side. Right, we had a shift in market structure. Anyways, hope you all have a blessed week. God bless you guys. Be good with the King's Capital. Be good stewards of what you've been given. And seek to bless others with it as you gain in knowledge, as you gain in money, etc. God bless y'all.